I got a $5 coupon off Domino's when I went to school down there, and so that was kind of our extent.
$5 off a pizza sure doesn't sound like a whole lot, but then again, college sports wasn't the same 40 years ago when Paul Sorensen was wreaking havoc on Pac-10 receivers.
We couldn't work when we went to school. We didn't have full cost of tuition. We didn't have any NIL stuff, and we pretty much were hungry by the end of the month.
Fast forward more than 40 years, and the game is bigger. The players are bigger. Let's go, and the money, well, you know where that stands. But the landscape changes so quickly, even current players see the impacts.
When I'm watching football, you don't realize all the inner workings that are going on. And so the biggest thing for me was NIL, and I think that started with a kicker over at UCF. But I remember seeing that on national television. I'm like, what is he doing? Like, your degree is everything, and now you're giving that up for YouTube earnings and whatnot, and then just to see that snowball into what it is now.
When the NCAA changed its policy on student athletes making money, name, image, and likeness accounted for a reported $917 million in just the first year alone. But the schools still can't pay the players directly, so third-party collectives were set up as liaisons, if you will. And that's when Sorensen was called upon to help out his university once again.
The whole concept of Cougar Collective, basically we were asked by the institution to set up a collective because they saw this thing coming down the pipe. Well, we had some money for the defensive backs, being at EB, that's kind of where we wanted to go. So threw it to the university, says, hey, how do we do this? How does this whole thing work?
Third-party organizations like Cougar Collective help connect athletes to various business opportunities. And even fans can contribute directly to players, helping them earn a little cash on the side.
You have to do Facebook likes, you have to show up in an appearance, you have to sell your jersey.
Now, more than 100 student athletes are under the collective umbrella. But with more money comes more problems.
With the collective itself, how much money do you bring in a given year?
It varies. I don't want to give out a number because then all of a sudden we're pigeonholed, but it's the lowest in the Pac-12, but it's growing. We would be 5th in the Mountain West right now in the collective. There's 4 schools in the Mountain West that have better collective in terms of funds and fundraising than what Washington State has.
Washington State also ranks 11th in the Pac-12 in total revenue and donor contributions, creating a difficult decision for boosters.
The reality is the donors we've typically gone to over the course of the last 18 months now have other options relative to going directly to our student athletes, and there are impacts that we're going to feel.
And then, of course, there's good old-fashioned tampering.
We've had guys contact our players' parents. We had a coach from another school contact one of our players and offer him NIL, a coach. Okay, so there's more things going on behind the scenes that you can't even imagine.
In your 5 years here, did you ever have anyone that reached out into your DMs or called you, or other schools, coaches? Did that ever happen?
I mean, yeah, but obviously I think, it's like against the rules. So for me, it was very easy just not to reply to it. But again, like you said, it's so crazy how that's changed in recruiting now. Like you said, the businesses can use that because they can have alumni who went to that school and whatnot. But I think, again, if you're using it as a recruitment tool, now we need to figure it out a little bit.
There's definitely ways that people will find a way to reach out to you. It's not that it's illegal, but it's not that it's legal, but if people want to, they'll find a way.
So it seems like your services were requested at some point, possibly.
Yeah, but we're Cougs, so it's like, come on now.
If it hasn't become obvious by now, NIL and the transfer portal aren't going anywhere anytime soon. And universities like WSU can't afford to wait for Congress to bail them out.
I told someone, I said, it's not college basketball anymore. I said, you're right, it's not. It's not what it was, and I don't think I'll ever go back.
And refusing to adapt will only hurt from a competitive standpoint. So what can Washington State do to keep up?
And right now we're behind. And I think that's the reality. I'm okay with saying that because we got to be solution-based. We got to lock arms, and we got to find ways to push forward.
Combine that with the Pac-12 dissolving, and that makes for an uncertain future. But the students, coaches, and alumni see unity as their greatest strength moving forward.
It's not a fun battle. It's not a fun battle when you're getting your teeth kicked in. But you know what? I'm a Coug, man. I'm used to fighting. We were picked dead last in 1981. We played Washington for the Pac-10 championships in Seattle. So it can be done. Cougars have always rallied. They've always figured out a way to compete.
Yeah, that's right. You probably wouldn't guess it, but the leading scorer for Washington State in the last 2 Apple Cups is kicker Dean Janikowski. And just a few weeks ago, he continued his success in that rivalry game. And there was a moment at the end of the first quarter that sparked a lot of attention on social media afterwards. But it started with some trash talk, but ended in some good.
Well, I actually kicked it, and I jumped to the side because I couldn't see over the lineman and just got a good stare at it, and then saw it went in and just lost it with the specialist. So I was super pumped on that.
On the first Cougar drive of the Apple Cup, Dean Janikowski hit a career-long 50-yard field goal as the ball hit the crossbar and bounced over. Naturally, giving your team the lead in a rivalry game calls for celebration. But it wasn't until the next day when a Husky fan page on Twitter decided to take a shot at Dean for the celebration, unaware of any meaning behind it.
I mean, I've gotten a lot of hate before. I've gotten death threats and stuff like that for just missed kicks and things like that. A lot of people bet a lot of money, so to miss a kick, I'll hear about it the next day, but I just ignore that. So it didn't really faze me. If anything, it got me excited because I was able to show them how important that kick is and why I celebrate.
After taking some time to think it over, he came up with a creative way to reply, saying for every field goal and extra point he makes this season, a donation is made to help kids who can't afford cancer treatments.
I replied to that guy saying that kick was worth $600, so I was pretty excited to be able to raise money like that.
The reason for the cause? Dean's mother, Heather, a former professional cyclist. In November of 2012, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and for almost the next decade, there were multiple remissions and flare-ups. But in 2020, it was detected in her lungs and the back of her brain.
I know I told Nick, and I told some of my other friends. Not a lot of people knew, and I kind of started telling more people, gotten more accepting to it, and when I came back from break last year, Coach Dicker giving me a scholarship, me being able to call my mom while she's in the hospital, being like, Mom, don't have to pay for school anymore, got the scholarship, and everyone kind of, by then when I got that scholarship, everyone kind of knew the situation. And
just a few days later, she passed away.
It's been very hard not hearing her in the crowd. She was always the loudest one. So not being able to see her has been very tough for me.
But through the tragedy came a chance to do some good, as Dean and his family created the Heather Janikowski Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization committed to programs related to a healthy lifestyle for children and their families. In addition, Dean started his own Pledge It fundraiser.
I looked at it and I was like, okay, I'll use my platform and let's find a way to make kicking even more fun or get more people to even watch it, because I know most people, PATs, they almost don't even watch PATs. They almost just swipe away from it.
And as it turns out, the platform of a first-team All-Pac-12 kicker has a far reach, as his response on Twitter was seen by more than 220,000 people. And even though there's no love lost between the Cougs and the Huskies on game day, the humanity of the fan bases shine through, as Dogpack Dirt became the leading donor for Dean's Pledge It Challenge.
Pretty cool to see like everyone come together. There were so many UW fans that would DM me nice messages or donate. We raised over $5,000 overnight, and just being able to see everyone come together was actually really cool.
You know, we've talked about it many times, the most important things in life you can't measure, right? So he's out there impacting people through his play and through his God-given ability. I know where his heart's at every time he kicks that ball.
Even without his cause, Dean says he already celebrates more than most kickers. So moving forward, don't expect that to change.
What do you think your mom would say right now to see what you've been able to do?
I think she'd just be smiling. I think everyone in my family has been doing a great job and just really just focusing on that and looking for others. I think once I fixed myself and just kind of got through that tragedy, and now that I can help others and make other people smile, it's been really cool. So I think she'd be pretty happy.